All right, recording here, recording there, and we are recording everywhere. And ouch, is all I can say, really. If I wanted to talk about how I am feeling right now, and everyone knows that I am Mr. Feels Armstrong, really. I like to talk about how I feel, but that's more like emotionally. Right now, I'm just extremely sore, and I think I'm just using this as an opportunity to tell everyone that I've been playing rugby. And if you don't know what rugby is a sport that everyone gets really amped up about here in New Zealand. It's our national sport, and we celebrate the men's team more than we do the women's, even though technically the women's team is the most dominant in the world. So that is the game rugby, where there's this ball and it's oval shaped, so it's quite different. And it bounces funny when it lands on the ground, and people try to put it over the line. So we can only pass backwards, so that's why it's not gridiron, and we also tackle each other, so it's quite high in contact. And that's probably why I'm partially sore, but at the same time, I have bruised ribs, and gosh, if I'm grateful for having arms, grateful for having legs, I'm grateful to be able to breathe, and grateful to be born, to have been born, having ribs, really, like when I was told about why they're shaped the way they were. I mean, when I was studying, ribs, the cage, it's pretty much like why you have bird cages the way they're shaped, is because, you don't want that bird to get out, but you want to have enough movement so that the bird can actually do some bird-like stuff. So our lungs expand, and the thoracic cage expands as well, and the heart is beating, and that's what your ribs are around there for, I guess, is to be that sort of bird cage for those things. But when they get bruised and when they get sore, you just realize there's actually so much movement. Like, that's part of your axial skeleton. So that's part of like the central part, and all of your appendages kind of come off that. And when you breathe as well, like there's a lot of going up and back down. So breathing has been hard. What else has been hard? When I cough, honestly, when I cough, it feels like someone is putting a needle in between just under like my nipple, or like probably into my heart. Maybe I should get that checked. I hope it's not a heart attack. But and like just then when I cleared my throat, sometimes when I laugh too hard, like there's a lot of force that you don't think about in all these different things when your body's actually working. And it was the same thing when I was talking about my feet. Like, you don't realize how central or how important your feet are until they get taken out. So I guess that's my first thing right now, is just to realize and be grateful for everything that we do have, because some people just don't have it ever. And then we were out for a couple of days because we're just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I'm so debilitated. But that's actually some people's reality. So I guess the first one is just to be super grateful that I still have the rest of my body that is going on, but also that I don't know, I managed to go somewhere in my mind / head where with my ribs and all that sort of stuff, like I still got on and played, and it's probably not the best idea. It still probably isn't the smartest idea to just be out there in the super heavy contact sport, especially in the position that I'm playing. So I'm playing in the front row. And if anyone thinks about the front row, everyone thinks about, the big fatties was honestly what you were called when you were younger and you played in the front row, because they're the biggest people and they anchor the scrum. So they're at the front of a scrum, and there's like three rather grotesque humans. Well, am I? No, I was definitely tiny compared to everyone else out there, and probably like I'd say everyone had about 20 kgs on me, so I just like, oh yeah, it's all about technique here. The thing is, I haven't been in a scrum for maybe since, I don't want to exaggerate too much, but since World War II. It has been ages since I've been in one, and because the rules change so much, and because scrumming is not one of those things you can just get into, like you have to actually have the technique to be able to learn. I pretty much learned in the game, and I don't know if I should be saying that right now, but no one listens to this podcast, so we're fine. But basically, my first play when I got on, so I got to play half a game. My first play that I got on, I subbed in and I went straight into a scrum. And that was my biggest fear, because I was just like, gosh, like the rest of the game play's fine, broken play's fine, line out's fine. But scrum is where you actually, that's where if I don't do my job, everyone else falls down because if I don't anchor the scrum, we keep playing the scrum over, but I can also give away a penalty if I don't scrum properly. So basically, I just thought about all the basics that I could do right, get a good bind, get a good collision. I don't know how to do that. I just was just like, okay, just do it. And it was cool because the guys who were on with me, I had told them previously, I just like, very honest, I was like, look, I haven't really scrummed before. I've scrummed ages ago, but like as a loosie. And that's another thing. So that actually, before I get into the rest of that, that's another thing. I think when everyone comes down here to Dunedin, I still feel like there's a lot of reinvention going on. Like people will come down and say, oh yeah, at my school, like everyone used to call me Jackhammer 3D. But I feel like, because there's so many loosies, I feel like all the front rowers who were always front rowers during their high school career come down here and say that they were loosies. So I'm the opposite. I was a loosie, and then I went into hooker. So now I'm playing in the front row, and I still own that I'm in the front row, but it's also good because no one wants to play there, so hopefully I can maintain some game time. And you would have heard that on the Adi Savia podcast. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. It was cool because the guys that I was with, I told them that I was really quite like, okay, I don't know actually what I'm doing, but I'm willing to learn. And I think it's kind of a cool thing about my mentality is I just want to get good at everything. Like if I could get the skills to be mediocre or slightly good, as long as I can find something that I can always work on, I'll be happily chip away at it. Whatever it is, I'll happily chip away at it. So this was propping. And I'm sorry that I've been talking about rugby this whole time, but I swear there's a point to it. But it was really cool because the people who took me on, they understood that I was, I had no idea what I was doing. But, I mean, I had an idea, but they understood that all I needed was short cues because I was doing the basics so correct. So one of them was just like, oh, yeah, set your back foot on my back foot. And then I was like, oh, cool. So only for this scrum, I'm going to focus on getting that foot position right and then do the rest. And then after that, I swapped positions. I swapped to the other side of the scrum, and I went up to my boy, and who was playing there, and I was just like, okay, so what are the key fundamentals? What's my big job here? And he's like, all right, they're going to try push you out and down. You need to push in and up. And I was like, sweet, okay, that's all I'll focus on. And that's all I did. So all I was doing over the time, it wasn't like this huge, like, oh yeah, sweet, here's the textbook, and then go through all the technicalities of having to do this. They were just kind of looking at what it was I was already doing, and they said, okay, this will make it better, this will make it better. And they just gave me small tips as we were going through the entire game. And I was definitely not a pro by the end of it, but I think it was enough to help us get through where we were, especially for that game. And then I think one of the coolest bit of advice I got was just feel it out. And it was nice for me because it made me feel like they had trust in my ability, or they had trust that I was going to be able to do something good enough to maintain our position on the field and to do what the team needed from me, but also they just wanted to see me develop as a player and just get comfortable because, at the end of the day, I'm the one playing that position. So that's what I'm doing, man. I'm just feeling it out. So that was rugby. And if I'm, a rugby player now, I guess it just comes with the territory of being a F-list celebrity. But yeah, it was good fun, and I think it's just fun for me because it's putting everything that I know, which is being more active, and then finding a social outlet where I can be with other people, because this is taking me away. We're training so much that we're always together, and it's just given me something to hone my skills in. It's just like when I started CrossFit, like I got to know all the people in the box, and then we kind of became a really social circle there. But now it's different. I've got a new group of people, and I think it has really helped with my mindset because I have something to look forward to. And when I talk about alcohol use and when I talk about, not drinking as much anymore, like just ridiculously through the week, is because we have training now, and I feel like I have purpose. And I've always said it with alcohol use is if you don't have like another adventure to replace it with, because alcohol can take you on an adventure, it's really cool at doing that. It can mask a lot of things, but if you take alcohol away, and you haven't replaced it with something even more exciting, that's when it's really difficult to start watching your consumption. But I'm back to if I drink now, I'm going to feel horrible the next day. I'll train poorly, then I'll get dropped from the team, like all of those sorts of things. So I have a higher purpose. I have a purpose outside of me now, which is bloody. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah, so I'm stoked with that, super stoked with that. I'm also super stoked that all of you really care. So anyway, we're going to get into this with our lovely girl, Jenny Mitchell, Let Me Be. She's going to play this now, and then we're going to crank into the rest of the episode, fam. Let's get it.
Under the sun, and I know you feel it too. Yes, I know you do. I see you walk through that door and search the room to see the only thing you came here for, and in your eyes find me. And I know you feel it too. Yes, I know you do. So let me be your honey.
Bring it back now.
In the morning when you feel like something sweet, and then let me be your wine in the evening when the day takes away your dignity. Let me be. Honey, let me be.
And that is Jenny Mitchell. That is the album cut called Let Me Be from Wildfires. Now, you all know that I love Jenny Mitchell and I love everything that she's doing. She's got some new merch stuff coming out, so do go on to Jenny Mitchell Music on Instagram, and you can find the links to everything that she has going on there. Or if you just want to listen to her music, Jenny Mitchell on Spotify. And like I said, all the time, every time that I need music to listen to, or every time that it's just when I play it during the episode, it makes me feel like I'm finally comfortable again, because I know that when I start episodes, I have these little anchor points. I have these little things that I have that I'm just like, oh, okay. All I need to do is get to that point. And once I get to that point, then I know I'll be fine again. And I know that when I'm going to play like the Jenny Mitchell song, it recenters me. And it's just so beautiful. And actually, if you listened to that episode that I had with Jenny, she was talking about her time in Ireland and actually falling in love with the writing process and all that sort of stuff with, her experiences of being over there, and talking about, and just kind of talking about experiencing heartbreak, and not heartbreak in the terms of like, oh, there's this lovely boy in my class and now he didn't invite me to his birthday party. It was more like heartbreak of knowing that you're not going to be in that place that gave you so much happiness anymore, and like having to go away from it. And obviously, if we're talking about Ireland, we're talking about St. Paddy's Day last week. So St. Patrick's, it's interesting for me. So I guess I had to ask a few people about this because I think from my perspective, coming through, especially with everything that's going on, with like blackface and people misappropriating different cultures and stuff, I was just wondering like what the logistics around people who, do St. Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's. Firstly, my first question is, he's the patron saint of what? Right? The patron saint of just putting on weird ties that say, "Kiss me, I'm Irish." Is that Irish face? I don't know. Who knows? And I guess like with all of it, a lot of it is just like, we'll just wear green today, and we'll just get pissed. So what I did, and I guess the reason I'm saying this is because, obviously it's not a day off. We don't have it as a holiday here in New Zealand. But I remember around the time that Waitangi Day, people would ask like what the significance of Waitangi Day was to different people. So for those of you who don't know, that's like our binding document here. That's for Māori and European people who came over. That was like their agreement to each other that we will still maintain, good health, good rights as Māori people, actually better or the same as the European people who came over. That's probably a podcast series. That's probably a podcast in itself, and there probably are plenty of podcasts on that, because that kind of interferes with how law is played out, and even how research is starting to play out now. Like, what is your, what is your respect, or what is your, what do you call that thing when you do something for something? What is your I don't know, for the treaty. How are you going to implement the treaty into all of your research that you're doing? Because we need to make sure that Māori citizens are actually taken care of and probably given a little bit more than everyone else, especially. So, like, how is this going to contribute to Māori in the future? I guess is what I'm trying to say. But with Waitangi Day, like, that's, for me, that's the key part of it, is that we are remembering that this was the document that was signed on that day. But the thing is, Waitangi is every single day, because that's a commitment. But at the same time, like, a lot of people who live in here who are definitely, you know, inflicted by it, because it's going to be something that impacts them, because it's going to impact the decisions around them. You know, they just see that one day as a day off, and they don't actually understand the significance of it all, even though it's going to at some point change the way that they live their life. So I was just like thinking about that with St. Patrick's Day, and how pretty much, if you don't understand the significance of something, can you properly celebrate it? So a lot of people know that you know, Irish, you wear green, you get pissed apparently, you get really, really drunk. So I had to call in the Irish contingent. So I've got one, which is my friend who from a last couple of years ago, Eric Malloy. I asked him, and he's actually from Ireland. So when I say he's really Irish, I mean he grew up there. He'd only come over that year to play footy. And when I say footy, I mean soccer or kickball, football. That one where you don't pick it up unless you're the goalie. And I remember on St. Patrick's Day, everyone wore green, and we like did a themed dinner, all that sort of stuff. And it actually made him feel really like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm this far away from home, and people are celebrating it. So that was kind of cool, until it got to the evening when he saw how drunk everyone got. So, and he's just like, no, okay, this is disgusting. Like, of course, people get blotto back in Ireland, like you said. But like, I guess what's disgusting on a regular day is also disgusting on St. Patrick's, except you're wearing green at the same time. So that was Eric's kind of thing on it, and I asked him about it. I was just like, do you like that people celebrate it? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. But like, I guess for him, because he was so fresh from Ireland, it kind of he had a little bit of homesickness, and that just kind of made him feel like he, as an Irish person, was like kind of, you know, celebrated for their day. So I guess that is kind of cool. And it was similar with Neve. So look, already starting off, Neve, straight up. Like, if you read the name, you're just like, that is not Neve, but it's Neve. So we already got Irish up in there. Basically, she said something very, very similar. Like, she celebrates the shit out of it, and if people do, she loves it. But her main thing, I guess, with that was that as long as you're not disrespecting the culture, and I think that's with everything, right? If you do everything with respect to stuff, I guess, and you're not doing anything to downplay someone's culture or to be offensive in any way, then I guess, you know, you can have a good time. And I guess for me, the most disgusting part about it is like just how huge gatherings of people to get drunk. I don't mind. You can do that all you want. You can listen to your shitty ass music that just sounds like a bunch of people in the kitchen smashing on their pans. And I probably just lost our 2 listeners by saying that. But at the same time, like, when I would grow up or like go to different places where we grow up, so like low socioeconomic places, like it was disgusting. So the areas looked so messy. The areas looked like, oh, what the heck is going on here? But that was because, like, that was not out of necessity, but that was just because those were the people who lived there, right? We were a bunch of people who didn't have too much money, so a lot of the areas weren't too flash. If you walk down any of these streets on like a day after there's been a party, it looks exactly like that. But it's the total opposite here. This is a bunch of people who have a total disregard for responsibility of people's property. And it's just disgusting. Like, that we're the most privileged people because we get to come to a university and literally live in a city that caters to who we are. And a lot of people have more money, or have a lot more money than what the people that I would have grown up with in the different places where people would call the hood, you know, grow up with way more than that. But the differences between why these places look similar is just because one of them actually can't afford to make things look flash, and then the other people are so rich that they don't even care. So they just drop bottles everywhere, they just smash everything, and there's a total disregard. So that's weird for me. It's so polarizing because it's two different people from two different places, but at the same day, at the end of the day, we all end up acting the same. So that was tough for me. But anyway, it's that St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that. Should we be a little bit more educated around why it is that people are getting as pissed as we are on that day? And should it be something that we're looking forward to just to get pissed? Or should there be some sort of celebration where people start to see the significance of celebrating that? But then even maybe like some basic stuff like who is St. Patrick? Patron saint of what? And we're not talking about Patrick, who is SpongeBob's friend. Cool, right. So this is going to be more of an update because, as you all know, we did the 4-part series, which absolutely took off. I cannot believe the support that I got on that. Just a lot of people who actually saw some utility, I guess, in the types of things that I was talking about. But also just being able to get my thoughts together, to put those together. Because, like I said, I have been struggling, and I struggle all the time. But this one actually forced me to start getting into my own practices, so that I could start to, really pep up a little bit. And honestly, I am feeling, pretty damn decent. And we'll take that for today because honestly, I like feeling happy and feeling great all the time would be cool, would be really, really cool. But I'm probably just not at that point right now. So to be pretty happy and pretty sussed with where I am right now and feeling like there's going to be at least a strong enough foundation or a strong enough platform to be able to push off, that's cool. I'm stoked with that. And half of it is mindset, definitely. Like I do want to have that, and I do want to be a bit more positive, and I do want to feel like things are going to be okay. And I know that a lot of that's just going to come from me and me being able to create my life the way that I need it so that those sorts of things can kind of work into my favor. But at the same time, it is coming into, me getting into those practices and not feeling like I'm a weirdo for doing them. Because I think I said it in maybe one of the last episodes where I would just take myself to the beach and maybe watch a sunset or, just put my feet in the sand or just feel stuff out and just to feel like I'm human because I can have those feelings again. And, doing affirmations and all that sort of stuff, like it's the most cringe stuff. Like it feels so cringe, but that was the exact same thing that I had, to go to counseling. I felt so cringe because I was like, you're that strong guy, you don't need a counselor. And I really tried to talk myself out of it, but that was like my broken self just saying you don't need help and you're going to be fine when I probably did need it. So that's the first one. Really, really cool there, and I'm just stoked with that. And I guess the opposite of that was a conversation I had, and I was just talking about how busy the teaching schedule is and just how like I feel like my life is so quick. It's just like I'm doing one thing and I'm doing another thing and I'm doing another thing, and I just had no time to really settle down. I think I just said like maybe I just feel busy. I just feel like I've got a lot going on. And the person was like, you're telling me. And then I realized that people who say to me, you're telling me, are some of my least favorite people. They're not my least favorite people because some people I really like have said it to me. But anyway, you're telling me, yes, I am telling you, okay? There's a reason I said it, and there's a reason that I did the action, which is to tell, and I told you. And I'm not doing this I'm not doing this to make you feel like you're insignificant because we're all busy. We all have stuff on, and we all live a life that is basically going to be as or less busy depending on how it is that you look at it. And I do remember that once upon a time, ages ago, like someone wanted to hang out with me and I said, I'm just so busy. And she said to me, and it really kicked me in the nuts, we're all busy, Troy, find time. And I said, oh gosh, that hurts because I used to tell people who wouldn't exercise that we all have time. And then I just realized it's all about what you prioritize. But anyway, let's stop racing to see who is the most busy. I still don't know why we live in this deficit-based model where a lot of people start talking and it's like, who's the most sick? Or like, oh yeah, well, I used a whole box of tissues and Nurofen and blah, blah, like, okay, oh yeah, well, this one time. And then people just try to one-up each other talking about how bad life is. I never joined in on that. I just like, oh yeah, man, that does suck. Shit. But like, shouldn't we be celebrating how good life is a lot of the time? Like, doesn't that then help with how we start to feel and how we start to view life? Instead of looking for the things that are going to put us up by being down, it's almost like you get clout. You get like some sort of clout for being that person who has the most problems in life. Like, I remember people who used to just glorify how much they haven't slept. They're like, oh, yeah, I only got like 42 minutes sleep last night. And it's just like, you're an idiot. Like, yeah, I was just up real late, and then I don't know why I started talking like that, but you know, what's the fun in it? What do you win? What do you gain by being that person who's the most hard done by? Do you think it's because it gives you an out if something doesn't go right? Do you think that that is what it is? Because I will tell you right now that I kind of believe that might be what it is for. Because when you, this is something that I've been thinking about recently, and I've been thinking about it more and more because going forward, I guess with where I want to be and being able to place your attention on something, if you only place your attention on the stuff that, makes it so that life is hard or that life is more difficult than other things, then it makes it easier for you to not excel at anything. And if you do fail, it's okay because you had that buffer to be like, look, you were struggling in that time. Life was really hard for you, and you just like, oh, and then it compounds on that. It's just like, oh, life is hard. I'm not getting what I want, and it just keeps compounding. It's a vicious cycle that goes on there. But if you are that person who continuously lives in that mindset, then maybe that's actually what you're after, and maybe it gives you a reason not to try. I remember on The Simpsons, far out, where did that come from? But I remember from The Simpsons, Bart needed to do well at school, and he'd always failed. And then this one time he needed to do well, so he started trying, and he still failed, sad, but it really hurt him. It really hurt him that he failed. And the reason it really hurt him is because he actually wanted to do well. He actually wanted to try and do it. And the moral of the story is that we shouldn't not try. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But the thing is, when you start to place your attention onto something, or you want some sort of outcome because you're actually working towards it, you do get disappointed when you don't get it. So is the fact that we are trying to say we're more busy than others, or that our lives are more difficult than others, is that something that comes out of we not wanting to feel that disappointment? Like, is it something that kind of plays into that? Just think about yourself. Have you ever been one of those people who got into that sort of conversation where people were talking about how hard everything is, and you just started taking on more and more and more, and you just wanted to see it get to the tippy top of mountain shit? Just think about that. And is that so that you can have, because you have that fear of failure, or you have a fear of trying even? Because I know I've definitely done it. Even elements of the game that I played on the weekend, just saying that, oh yeah, I've never played here before, and just making sure that everyone knew that was it, because I didn't want people to be like, oh look, he's really letting us down. I wanted them to be in their head like, oh yeah, that's okay. If he's only like that now, it's because he's never done this before. Which at the same time shouldn't even matter, besides safety reasons. But if I'm out there trying to trial for trying to be in the top team, then I just need to go out and do whatever I can, regardless. It doesn't matter how many times I've done it, and if anything, that's on me, because I chose to put myself there. So yeah, I mean, that's just where you place your attention. And I guess we do live in a little bit of a fog a lot of the time, because we never really say what it is that we do want. These are just random thoughts that are coming out, and because this is a little bit of an update, and this will be a shorter episode, but I guess I never really say what I want, or I never come on here. I guess it's different because I have this platform, but just think about times where you have had goals and you've never told anyone your goals. So I know a lot of people, they say, oh yeah, I'll just have some sort of hardcore quote on why they won't share their goals with different people. I don't know if that's because, you want to, hustle away or silently grind away at everything that you're doing, or is it because this person now knows what it is you want? and like exactly what you want. So if you don't get it, or if you're not doing stuff to work towards it, this person, could call you out, really. Is it because you don't want that sort of accountability? There is no right or wrong answer at this point. I'm just trying to put these thoughts out there because I've been thinking about me and my journey to trying to get better. Is it that part of my identity was that person who, just found it really difficult to be happy, and maybe that's what gave me this platform, and this is why you all listen to me. So, would it be that maybe if I lost that, if I was just happy all the time, and you'd be like, oh, there's no reason to really listen to him anymore because, he's happy now, and I'm not happy. I just, I'm still struggling, and I can't relate to a guy who's happy. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I am happy right now, but I'm just saying maybe, are there things that I'm avoiding that I know will definitely make me better because I want that about me? And these are things I haven't really considered yet. These are things that are just coming up into my head right now. And it's interesting to be able to put it out there. And I'm really interested to see the types of thoughts that other people have when talking about this sort of stuff. So, when I say that I want to be better, or when we say that we want to be better, we never actually, I don't think we've properly laid out what that is going to look like. And the reason I think I don't want people to know what that would look like is because then I have something that I can work towards. And the more detail I put into it, the more that I feel like I'm trying for something. And if it doesn't work again, I will really feel like a failure. Which is kind of, for me, means that I'm a little bit more on, I guess I'm a bit more fixed-minded than I thought I was. I always thought I was a growth mindset person where I would try to put myself out there, but I guess that's a spectrum. I guess, your mindsets kind of occur in different realms. So I have this sort of mindset towards this sort of thing, but then for these sorts of things, I have more of a fixed mindset. And I guess, that's something I never really considered until thinking about this sort of thing. And my journey into self-discovery and pretty much just trying to love myself a little bit more, really. What are the reasons that I can't have the same energy towards loving myself that other people give me? Why can't I care for myself, or why can't I be? Why am I so harsh on myself when no one else puts that same standard on me? So those are just things. Those are just things to think about. Cool. So we're into our last couple of segments of this, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what I have been doing. So one of them is to do with showing myself self-love, hashtag, and then one of them is just what I've been up to, and then I asked you all about what are the things that you do when you know that you are procrastinating. And the reason why I asked about procrastination is because I believe we procrastinate a lot because we have that fear of failure. So maybe sometimes we procrastinate to put things off so that it makes us feel like we either don't have to try because we run out of time, or because we didn't have enough time, we didn't try, and therefore if we do fail, we have that sort of buffer. So it's a really interesting way of thinking about how we sabotage ourselves sometimes. And I'm King Sabotage, so my middle name should have been Sab or something like that. But anyway, what have I been up to? I've actively, like I said, been trying to practice self-love every single day. And how that looks like to me is just saying no to things that I really don't like or really don't want to be a part of, because I'm starting to realize that my time is a super finite resource, and I'm on a million projects everywhere, and I'm also teaching, and I'm also trying to be an athlete, and I'm also got sore ribs. So all of those different things take time. And I, as a starting academic, I want to be someone who can actually be good. I want to be good at what I do instead of super average at a whole bunch of things. Because the thing is, each of the projects that I'm on, they don't know that I'm on another project. They don't know what I'm on another project, and they don't know my contributions to each of them. So if that's my one interaction that I have with these people, and it's super average, they're just going to be like, why the heck did we even bother? So that's something to keep in mind there. I'm just saying no, and I'm stopping to do this. I stop doing things that I hate. So it's kind of because I feel like I'm lying to myself. If I do things that I do not like just for the sake of doing it, just so that other people can see that I'm doing it, or just so that other people can be happy with the things that I'm doing. So I just cut that. Like, anything that I see won't bring me joy or won't bring me some sort of skill that is worth it, I guess in the future, I have the ability to say no now. And I think that's a self-confidence that I started to discover or develop over time, because I just realized where I am now, I'm actually a resource that people need. And people were never willing to say that, but now the more that I'm doing and kind of the money that's kind of flying my way or could fly my way, I'm just like, shit, I'm actually like one of a kind in terms of the research that I do, but also the way that my mind works. So that's been kind of nice to feel that out. So if you can feel that out as well, start to see that there are areas where people need you, get amongst, because it's a bloody good feeling. And I guess part of that is just reminding myself that I am good enough. And I try to do that every day. And that one's hard. That one's really tough, because when you say it and it doesn't necessarily tick in your head as like being the truth, you do feel like you're lying to yourself for a little bit. But what I try to do is I think about all the kind things that people have said to me. And these people aren't writing to me because they feel bad for me. These are people who I've genuinely helped through this podcast, and it still blows my mind. But But anyway, it does help a lot, and it's still the funniest thing to me is that I started this because I wanted to help other people. But it's this weird thing where by me trying to help you all, I'm also helping myself, and you're all helping me as well. So fuck, it's such a cool team, such a bloody cool community that we've managed to develop and build here, and it keeps building. So I do appreciate you all there. I've been teaching some more. So like I said before, I was teaching the med students as well as the physio students, which still to me makes me crack up every time, because I was that person who, everyone's like, oh, you should have done med, like you're smart enough to do that, blah, 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 and a whole bunch of people who thought that, getting into a health professional course is one of the best things that you can do when you go to uni. And then me being the phys ed teacher, and everyone would talk down on me and just be like, oh man, like, you just want to be a teacher? Shove it up your ass now, because I'm teaching y'all. So anyway, it's a good bunch though. It's a bunch of good people. And I think the reason why I love teaching into these people, because I know they are going to have an immediate impact on the people that they come into contact with. So if we can start building really good people, we know that when they do have consultations with different people, they are going to be dealing frontline really with these people. So being able to teach into those courses has been amazing. And I guess the next thing is just, I've been playing rugby more, I've been teaching a lot, I've been researching a lot, and then what have I been doing for myself? A whole bunch of nothing. I'm really enjoying my time off, I'm really enjoying my time away, and I'm just trying to, segment the two. So, no, I'm enjoying life. I think I can, let me just think. Yeah. No, I'm happy to. I'll back that statement. I'll get that signed by JP. I am really enjoying life right now, and I think it's because I feel like I have a purpose. Oh my gosh, that was the weirdest sneeze I've ever had to do, because my ribs. Ow! I think I just broke it. We'll keep that in. Ow! Ouchies. Anyway, sorry for yelling and sorry for sounding weird, but that was really sore. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, and then the last thing I'm going to remind you of is basically that I got this last minute invitation to go talk at this forum, the Specific Sciences Forum, and I went in and they wanted to talk about like student experiences through the entire like degrees, and I didn't give enough context, so I wanted to spend about 2 or 3 minutes talking about what actually happened. So I put it on my Instagram. But basically what had happened was that I got called in to talk about and be honest about my time as a Pacific student or a Māori student coming through sciences and then going through into postgraduate. And basically I broke down. I ended up crying in front of everyone because I started talking about my experiences and how I felt like I was a commodity a lot of the time, because I I can say it now. I guess I'm quite intellectual, and I'm very good at playing the game of research, and I'm very good at producing really good outputs. But then also in terms of being a cash cow for the university, because I'm male, Māori, and Pacific, I bring in a bit of money. I'm expensive. I'm expensive in terms of like people will give more support, so people do like to have us. And at times I feel like I did a lot of the work by myself, and I had to really stand my ground when no one else would stand up for me for the types of things that I wanted to research and for the types of reasons I wanted to research, which is my community and my people, and to be able to make sure that they have better outcomes in life. And that's kind of what I stand by. Those are my values. That's who I am. That's just me. If I was to get a tattoo, that's it. I don't know what it looks like, but that's it. And I did feel like a lot of the time, like during my journey, it was only when things were suitable for the people who were going to be involved would they ever back me. Otherwise, they'd always just act like they were there, but never really there. And then when we lost, we were never there anyway. And then when we won, it was like, yeah, because I was in and behind you. So that kind of really... I've had time to think about it now, so it doesn't upset me as much, but I think it was the first time I properly confronted it, that really upset me. And I started to see that I was just pretty much used a lot of my time, and by the university, not the university itself, but by people at different stages. And I just kind of talked about the multiple experiences that I had, and I had kind of broke them down a little bit more. But it was the first time I'd gone through it, and I'd never realized that that had such a heavy weight on my shoulder. So I got through that and just cried in front of everyone. And it was interesting actually what people said after. A lot of people were like, yeah, it takes a real man to cry. And I'm like, I don't know. I think it just takes someone who's a bit in touch with their emotions, which is something that we all do very well here on this podcast. I should probably have named it the Feels Train. Cool. So to the procrastination, a lot of people I had so many people write in, which is also something so strange that people, when I ask about what are the good things people do for themselves, people do write in, but this one was like overwhelming. So I'm going to choose the top ones. Pretty much all of them collapse down into a few things. But seriously, we're so good at talking about things that we do bad. So hopefully one day we can actually get to a point where when I ask, what do people do, to help yourself feel good? We can have the same overwhelming response. But yeah, that was just something interesting I thought came out of this. But anyway, some of the main ones was procrastinating, so people who clean. So that would be really, really cool. I wish I could do that. I don't think I've got to that point in time where I've been able to clean because I have other stuff to do. I think I just clean because I feel like I need my room to be pretty straight so that I can sleep properly and that I can kind of function. But at the same time, man, how good would it be to procrastinate? Because at the same time, you're still productive. Like a clean house, no one ever got mad at. So that's pretty cool. That's a lot of people are like that. Some people chew their nails when they're procrastinating. I didn't even know that was a thing. But I don't know how good that is for your mouth or how good that is for your teeth or how good it is for your nails, really. I remember people used to be able to look at other people's nails and be like, oh, you chew your nails. I'm just like, sheesh, I couldn't even tell. So yeah, that's something as well. YouTube rabbit holes. Now that's interesting. Like YouTube, Netflix, all of those different shows that you start consuming more recommended content than you do actually content that you go to look for. I can't remember what the stat was, but basically those rabbit holes are designed to keep you in there so that you get more and more clicks, hopefully see more and more ads, and then make more people money in the end. The interesting thing, though, is the polarization that can come from the YouTube rabbit hole. So if you start going down and talking about maybe flat Earth, because it is flat, if you watch one, you start getting suggested more and more and more about theories about why the world is flat or why the Earth is flat. So if you find yourself getting into those rabbit holes and you're one of those people who, is so stuck in one idea and you can't think about changing because of the rabbit hole that it's taking you down, you've only been fed evidence that's pretty much in agreement with everything that you're looking for, find evidence to the contrary. So try to, look up why is the world round? And then you'll see how the algorithm changes and then it feeds you the other side. So it's super polarizing depending on the types of stuff that you start to watch. So do keep that in mind. But otherwise, fucking YouTube is so good. I spend so much time watching YouTube, and a lot of them are just Vine compilations. So if you remember Vine, I'm not really a fan of TikTok, but I always loved Vine. Vine was so good. Cool. Netflix, same again. Everyone was just talking about when you aim to watch one episode and you end up watching the entire series. That's yeah. I mean, Netflix is one of those things that tries to take your attention away. It's one of those things that if it can keep you on as long as possible, then they are winning. So definitely, and that's how you kind of get distracted there, and all your time goes away like that. And then this one was interesting. I just laughed because I'm not sure if Baz is serious or not, but he says spending my whole life savings on blackjack. Bruh, I don't even know how to play any of those card games like poker or anything like that, but I guess it can get quite addictive if you're playing and you're just like, oh, I have a chance to win something, and then some sort of gambling there. So if that does become a problem, I'm here for you, man. And then another one was just people like to eat or snack shopping. They go shopping for snacks. And I am the king of walking around supermarkets. So if you're my friend, you know that at one point I would have asked, but people are like, oh, what do you want to do? I would always say, oh, should we just go to the supermarket and just walk around? Because that's just who I am. That's just who I am, and I'm not mad at it whatsoever, and that's just how things be. And I'm actually super stoked with how this episode ended up turning out. So it was just me being here with you. I really appreciate you all for continuing to write in. I'm super grateful for the community that we've managed to build, and I'm super grateful that even if there's only 6 listeners or over hundreds and hundreds of listeners, I'm just happy that you spend this time with me. I've gotten to that point now where I love coming on to record to be able to talk to you all, because I know that at least one person is going to walk away feeling like everything that they were worried about or things that kind of confused them a little bit, they're not the only ones thinking that way, but also I do my best to try to give you something else as well. So we're going to be moving into another series in the next couple of episodes. So we have Cheyenne Harper coming on next week, and she talks about her battles through depression. She was in a book talking about it as well, but she also has a really cool blog. And on top of that, she's also a massage therapist, and she was a massage therapist for the Hurricanes and the All Blacks. So that's going to come on. It's going to be really, really interesting because she's starting to make new content. But also, I just want to express my gratitude towards you all. Please do write in if you have anything that we would like to talk about and get me to cover. But other than that, really love you all. Love you so much, and thank you so much for being here with me. Hope these ribs come better, and I'll let you know how everything goes. But anyway, we have Jenny Mitchell taking us out for today.
Search the room to see the only thing you came here for, and in your eyes find me. And I know you feel it too. Yes, I know you do. So let me be your honey in the morning when you feel like something sweet, and then let me be your wine in the evening when the day takes away your dignity. Let me be. Honey, let me be.
Have a good week. Love you all.